Welcome to Taiyo. I'm Drake, and I actually have some bad news. My sister Leanne did not want to be on this episode of the podcast, so I'm going to be talking about something different today. I'm actually talking about growing up in the 70s. You may be wondering if I grew up in the... Obviously, I didn't grow up in the 70s, right? I'm 19, so I was born in 1999, but I actually have my mom with me.
I'm Laura.
Okay, so I already told them we're talking about the 70s, growing up in the 70s. But first, well, I know, right? Because you did grow up in the 70s. But first I want to talk about how I grew up, because you didn't raise me like a typical 2000s kid. Like, the people I grew up with were raised differently than I was, I feel like. So I was raised on like Legos, Hot Wheel cars, Lincoln Logs, hanging out with friends outside. We had a swing set even. So, like, I feel like I grew up different because, like, 2000s kids nowadays, like, they grow up with, like, Fortnite and, like, smartphones and stuff, which is kind of weird. I don't like that, but, it is what it is. So, we can talk about how you grew up in the 70s, and then how your parents were, and then I guess we'll go back to, like, how you guys, like, my impression of you guys whenever I was growing up, so.
Okay, well, let's see, when I was little, like 5, we'd always play outside in a big yard. We did have a swing set outside in the back, but it was pretty safe. You could play out in the front yard and not have to worry about anybody. So, like, when you were growing up, it was like a big thing. You don't play in the front yard because I didn't want anybody to take you.
Right.
And so that was kind of different for us. But then, tricycles, bicycles, skateboards, you name it, we had it. We also had, you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, but you have the big 4x4s now where they have the battery that goes in it and you can tow it around. We had what they called a metal pedal car. It actually, you climbed in the metal, it looked like a car, you climbed in, and it had pedals, and you pedaled it like a bicycle so that you could go... And you could steer the car and go down.
Okay, so you're saying, like, you pedaled it like a bike, but it wasn't a bike?
Right.
So, and it was like completely made of metal?
Yes. So it was like I remember it was a blue car, and it had pedals like a pedal boat would, how you get around in a pedal boat. But
so
it
weird.
made the wheels go, so, yeah. We played in our metal cars and...
But that's... Yeah. That's weird because nowadays, like, they have, like, they don't even really have those ones anymore. They replaced them or whatever. But, like, the Fisher-Price one you got me, that was, like, the red one with the yellow roof or whatever. Yeah, and, like, I had to go with my feet. I had to actually move it with my feet. So it was, like, me basically running to control the car. But, now they replace them with, like, the electric ones. And you just push on the gas pedal and it drives. I'm like, well, that kind of ruins the fun,
And then you have the electric scooters now, where when we were young, my grandpa made us scooters out of wood. And it was like a piece of wood, and it had like roller skate wheels on both sides.
Oh, come on.
And it had a big old huge handle that you could...
Was it made of wood as well?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The whole thing was made of wood. And you stained it... and you did it just like a skateboard, only you had the handle to hang on to.
But that sounds like a really bad idea.
It was fun. It was great fun.
Well, yeah, maybe that was fun. Okay,
don't hit a rock. We didn't have helmets and elbow pads and knee pads like y'all do today.
Well,
so when we went down, man. I
didn't really want to wear a helmet when I grew up, though. I was kind of like in the mindset of, why do I need a helmet? This is stupid. You know that. Like, every single time I'd like take off the helmet. If I like rode around the neighborhood, I like wait until I got around the corner and then take off the helmet and then just keep going. I put on my handlebars and then I would fall over sometimes and it hurt. But it is what it is, right? You get back up and you get back on the bike and you start driving again or riding again, whatever you say. But it was fun not growing up with smartphones, but it definitely was more, I guess, dangerous than it was for you guys. I don't know if it's because like people get caught more doing stuff that's not good or whatever, but I remember, like, up until the age of, like, 13 or whatever, you guys didn't want me to, like, even answer the door, go outside, like, whenever you guys weren't home. So, like, it was kind of like, I didn't really have the freedom to go out.
When I was raised, could leave our front doors open and our front doors unlocked when we left, and nobody would bother us. But you don't dare do that today.
Yeah, really. I mean, yeah, I mean, I can see that. But, like, how did your parents raise you, though? Like, because you grew up with, like, I'm not saying you grew up in a farm, but your dad was a farmer. I mean,
he's a farm boy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a farm boy. So, but was your mom as well?
No.
Or was she just like a city person?
City.
Okay, so she was a city girl. But, like, how did he raise you differently than, like, how she would have raised you? Like, was there any, like, difference? Like, you know how, like, you and dad, like, sometimes have, like, different ways of parenting? Was there, like, any major difference? Or did they both, like, parent you the same way?
They both pretty much parented the same way because dad was in the Air Force, so he was away a lot. So mom was the big...
She was like the woman of the house type person.
She was the mama. She stayed home with us. She would work part-time sometimes, but she wasn't, when we were home, she was home.
Okay.
Pretty much.
I got you. Yeah, okay, well, that's not bad then, because I know you and dad had some pretty big ways of parenting that were different. Like, dad's always been more about, like, the stern, discipline type of thing, and you're more of like the laid back, like, if you get hurt, you get hurt. I told you were going to get hurt, but you didn't listen type of person. Because he's like, he gets like all up on you, which I love that he does that as well, though. Like, both you guys are like different, but like he gets all up on you and he's like, you got to do this, you got to do that. Like, and sometimes it can be really annoying, but I know that he's got like good intentions for it. But like for you, it's more of like a laid back kind of, well, I told you not to do it, and you did it anyways, so that's your fault
you have
type
to
of thing.
Kind of reap the consequences of
Yeah.
what you did.
Yeah, really.
So
But you do kind of worry a lot sometimes.
I
so,
do worry.
Like, whenever I was in the shower for 15 minutes and you started freaking out, thinking I was, like, falling over or something.
You can never be too safe anymore.
But, okay, I'm 170 pounds. You would have heard me
Okay, so let me tell you
tumble.
about my cousin.
Okay.
One of my cousins. He was a second cousin. Anyway, there was 3 of them. And one of them was a drug addict. The other one had diabetes.
Diabetes.
Can't say
It's
it.
diabetes.
And then the other one was healthy.
Okay.
Ate healthy stuff, drank water, exercised. He was it. Who do you think would have passed away first?
Well, I know it was a healthy one that passed away
Yes.
first. I could tell.
So
but
it's like,
I feel like
nobody. If we wouldn't have worried about him, I mean, he was nothing to worry about. But you still have to worry about because you never know when something's going to happen.
That's true. But like what? Okay, so what did happen though? If you don't mind me asking.
So he came home from work and he had mowed the lawn and came in from mowing the lawn and he was like, I'm just tired, I'm going to bed. And he never woke up. He had an aneurysm in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Dang.
Died in his sleep.
Did he look like super groggy before he even went to sleep, or was he
Nope.
just normal?
Normal. So
Wow.
You never know.
So, okay, wait. So what age were you compared to them, like your cousins? Were they older than you, or were they around the same age?
They were older than me.
But like how much,
He
though?
was, I want to say, like, maybe 7 or 8 years older than me. Wasn't a whole lot older.
So are the other 2 cousins still alive, then?
Yes. No, the only one that's still alive is the one that was on drugs.
That's ironic. Okay, so I was expecting a diabetes person to be alive, not the drug addict.
Oh, there you go.
I'm assuming he's been clean for a while, though. I mean,
I don't even know.
I'm sure he must be clean.
I don't. Yeah,
You don't contact him?
He's kind of weird.
Oh,
Different.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. I mean, yeah, okay, so
Last time I contacted him or had any connection with him was back in 1987.
wow, that's a long time ago. So, okay, but how many, like, places did you end up living? Because, like, I grew up with just this house, so I've always seen, like, the same thing, but, like, didn't you, like, move around, like, a lot? Like, how many different places did you go to?
Being in the military, you would think that I moved around a lot, but I actually, I lived in a small house on a street called Tamarack that was in Colorado, and then we moved to the base, And we lived in 2 different apartments on the Lowry Air Force Base that was in Denver. That is no longer. And then we moved to Commerce City.
Have no clue where that is.
Commerce City is in Colorado.
Okay, same place. All right.
And then we moved to Missouri, St. Charles, Missouri, and lived in a house on Hunter's Ridge over by St. Charles West. And then we moved to the house on West Sunny Hill Boulevard where Nana and Papa just moved from.
Oh, dang.
So I didn't move around a lot.
Well, I mean, that's still more than I've moved around.
Well, yes.
So, because I've never moved, and
But
you were like,
that's
6
not
places, and
But 6 places for someone that grew up in the military,
that's actually not bad.
that is, you don't hear that because a lot of Air Force or military people move around all the time.
So, like, but how was it then? Whenever you like moved, did you have like a lot of friends, like in any of your schools, or were you just like always reserved because of it? Like,
No,
how did that?
I kind of much was reserved. I didn't have a lot of friends. I did have my friend Melody that I met when I was 6 years old on base housing. She lived next door to me, and we played Barbies down in the little. They had like this. I called it the ditch, but it was like a cement, like place where the water drained through when it rained.
Oh, okay.
And,
I got you, mean.
And so we played Barbies down there. That was the beach.
The beach.
The water flowing through it was the ocean. So we do that. And I still am in touch with her today.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
44 years later.
And you guys are still friends?
Yes. In fact, I just messaged her today.
No way. Did you actually?
Yes, let me show you here.
Oh my
I'll show you
gosh.
the conversation.
This is-
Melody.
Okay, but was she... Wow, you really did. But was she one of your only friends, or what?
She was, yes. She, one of my few friends that I had.
Few friends.
In Colorado. But it was kind of funny because she moved. Her dad was, of course, in the military too, since we lived on base together. And they actually moved to Illinois when she was 12, and I was probably 10, and didn't see her. And then I saw her dad when I was 13. And then we lost they moved back to the base, and then we lost contact again for 10 years. And then found her again. And yeah, we've stayed in touch ever since then.
Well, that's cool, yeah, because, I mean, I don't really have that many close friends either. I like to keep, close friends to the minimum, but I'm not super, to myself and introverted like you were when you were younger. And I know now you're definitely different.
Yeah.
Now you're extroverted is, all get out, but I grew up, kind of like that at points, but I never really, because I got bullied a lot in school, you know that, all 3 of us kids, suffered a lot of bullying and stuff, because that's just how school is now. Yeah, so that part's the one thing that's stayed constant, is bullying is still a thing, and it's never going to get fixed, apparently, because nobody really does anything about it. So, I mean, kids are just mean, right? But, besides being bullied a lot, I kept close friends, but there was only, 4 of them. Because I actually felt safe and comfortable around them, but...
So, with that being said, when I was in high school, I didn't have hardly any friends. In fact, I didn't talk to anybody in my class.
Really?
No, most of my friends I graduated a year before I did.
Well, that sucks.
And then, so, my senior year, I kind of was to myself and everything. But now, with social media, I have... A lot of those people that were in my class have contacted me on social media, and we communicate there, and...
So the world's a small place, but okay.
Yeah.
So your high school was very... I feel like, besides the point of it being the same school, you had a much better experience with, all your, food options and, going places and doing stuff than I did. And that might go back to the point I'm going to make later with the growing up now compared to back then, but didn't you get, a lot of options?
St. Charles West was a lot different from Adams City High School, which was the high school I was going to in Colorado before I moved here. And at Adams City High School, it was set up like a restaurant where you could go in and you could order you a cheeseburger, fries, a shake, and they put it all in a bag for you, and you paid for it right there, just at the counter, like you would at McDonald's or Burger King.
That's kind of sick.
And yeah, you could even get chicken fingers, whatever you wanted.
What?
Yes.
Come on. But then how was West then? How was that?
West,
was that the old nasty gross food, or was it different?
At St. Charles West, the food was okay. It was just like it is probably today. You got served your food, but you had to go get it with
the tray and
everything.
Ew.
But you didn't get to pick what you wanted, like at Adams City.
Well, it seems like you had a pretty good experience at Adams City then.
And then St. Charles West was a lot different because they didn't have hallways or anything like that. They had pods with the pods.
Yeah, because that's whenever West was just becoming a school, right? Like it was just built on like the outside, but like the inside wasn't built at all, right? So
well, it was built. It was just they didn't want to put walls in there. It was all pods, but it was fun because like it was like a cubicle type room. Where if you go down the hallway, you might go through 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 different classrooms to get to where you're going.
Okay, so you're saying though that like that big square. Okay, so you know where okay, so anyone listening, the school we're talking about, because I went to the same school as she did, like when she was growing up, is that it's like a rectangle, right? So you have like nowadays there's the 3 hallways, and there's the lockers in the classrooms in those hallways, and it's like it's weird. It's like open on like all the sides, right? But you have to like walk through hallways. You don't have to walk through cubicles. But you're saying that entire like rectangle was empty in there, or what?
It was all classrooms, but there was no lockers. It was just like a cubicle, you would see on like
but it wasn't like an actual walled up classroom. It was like a short wall.
It was the walls went to
okay, well that part's
ceiling.
Good.
But anyway, it was open around it. So yeah, so we could actually the back row of desks could actually move their chairs back and talk to the back row of the other class. And you could actually hear the other class, a teacher, lectures.
Oh, that's going to be obnoxious.
You got used to it. I mean, you that's the way you were. I mean, it's the way this whole school was the whole entire time I went, so it wasn't really a big...
Well, the school sounded like it was a piece of garbage, to be honest.
I liked it better the
Really?
way it was when I went, yeah.
So you didn't like the getting served food at like a restaurant style thing? Did you like that part more?
I'm talking about
the classrooms, though, right?
The way the school is now versus when I went, I liked it the way it was when I went.
Really?
Versus the way it is now.
Wow.
I just feel like it's claustrophobic and
it is very
enclosed.
It is very cramped feeling. Yeah. It does. It's not like a very good feeling school. I'm not gonna lie. And also I think the architecture of it's so old as well. Like it's not a great school. I mean, there's some good teachers there, right? But I guess that part is pretty much the same. It seems like besides us getting like the hallways, like because we split up that empty cubicle area into actual hallways. So I guess that part's different. But like it seems like the school was
and then you don't
kind of the same back then.
You don't like the art room. The art.
You're talking about that like wing, the hall that comes off?
Where you had your art class.
Wasn't there?
It was actually a kitchen type space for our fax class.
Oh, well, the fax class is like in the back of the building now. Like over,
Well, that was the back of the building when I was there.
Well, yeah, but now like that back hallway where like the science classes were at and stuff. Like that hallway, if you turn to the other side, there's like the little area where the bathrooms are, and then there's the kitchen entrance back there, and that's where the fax rooms are at. So you have the labs and you have all like the kitchen classes, and then that's where you do your stuff because like we like changed that into an art hall, but it sucks because like a lot of the art classes stopped getting funding, so a lot of the classes I was going to take got it removed, so that part sucked. But I mean, so if you had to think though, which school was better between the Colorado one and St. Charles?
Colorado.
Is it just because of the food, or did you?
No,
or was it all around better?
All around better.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got you. But besides the point with school, right? What did you do outside, like, let's say you had friends, right? Let's say that you did, because I'm assuming you went home a lot.
Even when I didn't have many friends, there was still a lot to do with family. Like, we would go to the mountains every weekend. And
why don't you ever take us to the mountains?
In the summer, because you didn't live in
Yeah, we don't live with
Colorado.
mountains.
But anyway, then in the summer, we would actually spend 2 weeks up in the mountains. And all we would do is play games and
The heck? You don't take me on vacations that much.
There was a loop. We actually had a trailer up there. My grandma and grandpa had
cool.
cabin.
So, like...
And go down to... You would go down the road to the dam, and it would be... You cross the dam, and on the left side was the little shed, and you'd get in there, and you'd get whatever you wanted.
And you said this was at the private lake?
Yes.
But where? Like, was this in...
The mountains of
In the mountains?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys would just go there, and you had, like, a little shed, and you would, like, go fishing, you're saying?
Yeah. Like, Grandma and Grandpa lived up there in the cabin.
Okay.
And then we had a trailer that was, like, 300 feet or whatever. I don't even know the footage, but it was on the same hill. Mm-hmm. And they had this little roadway. You go down the roadway and go around across the dam, and there was a house. Well, it was like a shed, and it had everything in it. If you wanted to fish, you had fishing equipment in there. It had ice skates. If you wanted to ice skate in the winter, was the time that they had a bear trap.
A bear trap?
Yeah, there was a house across the dam, and then down a hill there was a house that said they had seen a bear. So they set up a bear trap, and a bear trap, all it is a really huge, it looked like a can, big plastic can that was on its side, and it was huge, and they put a stake in there, and it had a door.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen those.
The bear would trap the bear so that they could actually take the bear out of there instead of killing the bear.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah.
Those are nice.
Yeah. I don't know if they ever caught the bear or not, but...
So you just saw that one time and you're like...
Yeah, it was pretty interesting because you, were sitting there waiting, it was a whole week we were there with that bear trap in there, and we're, watching for the bear and seeing if they caught anything, and it was kind of pretty interesting.
Jeez.
And then it had the big rocks on the other side of the lake. You had a way that you could go around to the other side of the lake and climb up on this big rock and take a book up there and read the book. And it was the closest place to heaven right there on that rock.
But how tall was the rock?
It wasn't that tall. It was just, sitting on the hill, the top of the hill, and you could see the whole lake from it and different properties, but you just sit up there and it was just so peaceful and the breeze.
Well, that's because nature's beautiful. And not enough people have nature
I just felt like if I wanted to get closer to heaven, I just go on top of that rock. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of reservation Indian type stuff up there that people would look for. They had what they call fool's gold. Do you know what that is? Fool's gold.
I've heard it, but
anyway,
I want to hear you explain
fool's
it.
Gold is you would find you would see a glitter of gold, and you go over there and it would be gold, but it would be in the stones and stuff, and it would be fool's gold. And we had this place called what was it? Central City? Was it Central City? Anyway, there was a town we went to, and it had Indian shops where they made leather moccasins and the purses and with the little beads and stuff. It's a big Indian reservation type shops and stuff. And now, today, it's all casino.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. Jeez. I was just it's very upsetting. But yeah, as a little girl, I always loved going to those Indian shops and looking at stuff. And they'd have the big, it was kind of like a wig. They had the braids, the long braids with the thing they wore on their head. And it was really cool. Had all the moccasins and stuff you could buy, and
That's kind of cool.
cool. It was cool, but yeah, that was the old Colorado, the nice Colorado. So, but yeah, the Loop. We took you there that one time we went to Colorado.
You're talking about when you took me to Pikes Peak or whatever? Is that in Colorado, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Pikes Peak.
Remember that trip we drove up to the mountains with Auntie Lane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was where we would go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was very depressing when I went back because it was nothing like it was when I was a kid.
I'm assuming it got worse.
Yeah.
Dang.
But we had a small private lake where we could go fishing, and we in the wintertime we'd go ice skating on that lake. We would go ice fishing. We would one time our uncle put a inner tube in the back behind his Jeep and pulled us around.
Wow.
Yeah, and we had a snowmobile.
You had a whole snowmobile to yourselves? Like you owned?
Yeah, we had 2 of them. Yeah.
So you owned both of them just single-handedly, like privately?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Well, that's way better than my childhood. I mean, what the heck, man?
They were fun until we dumped them. They didn't even run anymore.
Yeah, I mean, but I just grew up outside in the front yard playing in the grass. Like, this,
Right.
mine's kind of lame compared to... Because we did go on vacations, right?
Yes.
But not to the extent of going to the mountains every freaking weekend. I mean, I feel like if we had mountains, maybe we'd go to the mountains.
Yes,
but,
we would have.
But still, we didn't really go that many places. We don't go that many places still. Like,
There's really no place to go
yeah,
where you can just, take
Missouri's kind of
a 2-hour drive and stay for the weekend and then come back. And it not cost a whole lot of money.
Yeah, it's kind of expensive. So, I guess that's one thing. It's a lot more expensive now than it used to be. And it's not as safe as it used to be. And it's a lot of stupid stuff. It seems like everything's getting worse. And I don't want to be like, oh, I'm cynical and stuff. But I feel like everything's getting worse, honestly. Because, I mean, I grew up, 10 years ago, let's say, when I was 9. I was, it felt okay to me. And I feel like it was even safer back then, but it still was kind of dangerous. But I grew up in, the kind of weird in-between phase where you raised me up like I was born in the early 90s. With all 3 of us kids, it seemed like. We grew up with, toys and friends, not electronics. Because computers were out in the early 2000s. Yes, we had computer, each of us kids, but we didn't really use it that much because you were like, hey, we're setting limits for you. Go outside, go do this, go have fun, play with toys. We
wanted you to have that outside atmosphere. We don't want, because you're going to be, as you know, as a grown-up, you're inside a lot anyway already.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want that to impede your childhood.
I feel like kids, let's say a kid's 12 right now, right? And you see them, and we'll talk about the cell phones in a second. But they grow up now with TVs and smart TVs. We have the Rokus. They grew up with those smart TVs. They grew up with tablets and phones and stuff, yes, but they also grew up with good computers and stuff. They grew up playing games on their computer, and while that did have online games that you could talk to people online and interact that way, that also opens up a whole new realm of danger, right? Because there's those adults that play these games and try to exploit kids, and you don't know their age, right, until it's too late. So, and I'm not saying kids aren't exactly stupid. So me, when I was playing Club Penguin as a kid, you could kind of tell that some people were older, and that was just via just their chat messages. You could just tell. But I guess you guys taught me well not to be unsafe online. You were be safe, don't do anything, don't give away anything. And I feel I'm not trying to make an umbrella term and say current parents are doing that, but I feel there's not as much of an emphasis on be safe online because everyone's online type of thing. And
a lot of parents, it seems just me, I guess, but it seems like they just don't care as much. Because, I mean, when you're in the store, a 4-year-old will have a tablet, and playing games.
Yeah, it is kind of a device that parents use to get their kids to be quiet and calm.
Which is not the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't calm you with a tablet.
Yeah, you calm me with human interaction, the way it was back in the day. But
you didn't calm down. You just stayed your behind at home.
yeah, really. I remember those where you would be like, okay, you're staying at home now. I was like, what? And then I would actually like calm down and then I would go. But yeah, you guys raised me like I was in the early 90s. And I grew up with early 90s shows and like Friends, for example. Amazing show. I've watched it like 2 times. I mean, I love that show. I watch episodes still whenever they're on TV. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, amazing show. Growing up with like cartoons like SpongeBob, amazing. I loved that. It was really, looking back at it, had some dirty things in it. It was suggestive. But SpongeBob was great. Mickey Mouse, growing up with that in the good old days, like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse as a kid. Like I would wake up for, you know, like kindergarten. I would have little Einsteins, Team Umizoomi or whatever it was. I'd have Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, the Backyardigans, all those amazing like shows for kids, and it was great. I would go to school at 8:30 in the morning. I would watch some Mickey Mouse before, I would eat some pancakes, watch some Mickey Mouse, go to school, and that was it. And that was my day, man. I would come home from school, forget everything I learned, of course, because that's how school is, and then just play outside or something, which was really nice. It was different than nowadays. And I actually have a statistic for you. This one's actually going to make you kind of surprised because I didn't know it was like this bad. But you ready for this? According to a study by Influence Central, I've actually never heard of these guys. I'm not sure about this, but they said on average, children get their first smartphone at the age of 10. 10.3 years to be exact. But at the age of 10 years old, kids are getting smartphones. Not cell phones. It actually expressly said smartphones, not cell phone. Because I can see you, yes, gave Shelby and Leanne phones before you gave me them, but I was 14 as well and they were older, right? But you didn't give them smartphones. You gave them just flip phones where they could actually just talk to you, but they had limited minutes. They had limited, like, text.
It was a phone for emergency only.
Yeah,
type.
It was emergent. But of course, Shelby was like, phone, and she was so excited. But I didn't get my first phone until I was 14, right? And that was a smartphone, yes. But I didn't get my phone until I was 14. So I was old enough to know, hey, you're using this to contact your parents. And I remember being so upset at you guys for not getting me a smartphone or a phone in general because Shelby and Leanne both had them. And I was like, I don't have one. I have nothing to do. They're always on their phones, not talking to me, which they were. They were on their phones a lot of the time. But I never had one, right? And then I was like, I remember asking Dad too. I was like, so when do I get a phone? When do I get a phone? Like, when do I get to do this? When do I get to do that? And I was super impatient. But the nice thing about what you guys did was that you didn't give me one at the age of like 12. You could have easily done that and just shut me up. But you were like, we're just going to wait 2 more years, God help us. And then he'll get a phone and he'll shut up. And then you gave me a smartphone. And I did, when I first got it, I did play a lot of games, like a stereotypical person who gets a smartphone. You play games, it's a novelty. And I got sick of it after a while, yeah. And even after we got our smartphones, you guys set up like time restrictions, which I don't think kids have nowadays as much. I mean, yes, there are options, and websites and games and stuff are really trying to push restrictions on time, but there's no time restrictions for the parents, it seems like, because you guys didn't exactly restrict the Club Penguin by itself. Like, they had the timer, but you guys didn't restrict my playtime from the game directly. You set a timer on the oven, and you'd be like, you're getting off. But there was one time when you're sleeping when I turned up that timer like 2 extra hours, and for some reason I didn't think you would notice, even though you were like old enough to know, right? You were like 40 years older than me. So, no, 30 what? Just 31, right? 31 years
30.
older than me? Well, yeah, practically, because I'm turning 20.
Because I had you when I was 30.
Okay. So that's just weird. We're 30 years apart. Wow. That's crazy. So, yeah, I just feel like that's different. I didn't get a phone at the age of 10.
When I was 12, I didn't get a phone either.
Well, yeah,
when
you were
14. I didn't get a phone
because you were too. They didn't have them. They
That's
had bag phones when you guys were growing up in the car.
No.
Not growing up when you were older, of course, like in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't have phones.
We did not have phones.
No
had
phones.
To rely on. Mom said, "Be home by 6." You have to be home by 6. If not, you were on the rotary dial phone calling your mom.
Yeah. Who's that? Yeah, I mean,
so it wasn't like it is today where you could I'm in the kitchen and I see I'm out of milk. Oh, let me call Mom and have her pick some up on our way home from work.
Well, you got to also think they have the smart fridges as well, which immediately will add it to your Amazon list or make a list for you.
We don't have that kind of a smart.
I know. We don't, which I'm glad, because that's too much. Like, you can look inside your fridge with a camera without even opening the fridge. Like, seriously, how lazy could you be? Open your fridge. It's not... I can see if the electricity's out, but then your fridge loses all power, so there's no point in that either. So you might as well just open up your stinking fridge and look. But it seems like a lot of it's for convenience now. Like, smartphones are for convenience instead of just typing in with, like, a rotary or, you know, like, doing the spin dial or, like, typing in with, like, the T9 keyboards, you know, the ones where you'd have to be, like, A, B, and then, like, P, Q, R, you know, like, all kinds of crazy stuff. So, it's different now.
Or having to stop, try and find a pay phone and pay your money.
Having to pay just for a call for a couple seconds.
And you didn't know how much to feed the phone because you didn't know how long you were going to talk.
Yeah, and then you have the thing where you're in the middle of a conversation and you didn't put enough in. You're like, uh-oh. And then it, like, hangs up and you have to put more in. And it's...
Yeah.
Oh, God. So...
Or let's go back even further before that.
Oh, no.
When they had they had what they called, what they call it. Anyway, it was party lines.
Party lines.
Yeah, where you would call somebody, but somebody else could pick up their phone and hear your conversation.
Well, are you talking about like a stranger or are you talking about someone in your house?
No, I'm talking like there was 3 houses. They had a party line up in the mountains. And we'd have, you would call your neighbor and the other neighbor could pick up the phone and listen to your conversation.
That doesn't seem right. That doesn't... I don't know if I like that part.
Or you have to, if you had to make a call, you'd have to pick up the phone and tell them to hang up so you could call somebody.
A party... Because I know we had a party line at the house, not between neighbors and houses, though.
That was not even a party line.
Yeah, that's just where you could, like, pick up the phone and also listen, though. So,
well,
I mean...
Because it's the same... I mean...
It is a landline, it's a home phone,
That's
yeah.
still today. You could be talking to the same person as me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can still do that on these phones, but you have to actually add them to the group, which is nice. They can't just join in.
Right.
Which is good. But, yeah, like, even with me on, like, the home phone, you'd be like, get off the phone. I'm like, huh? Because, like, you would just listen in on the other phone. I'm like, okay, then. So, I mean, yeah, I guess, like, but you didn't grow up with that, right? But nowadays... Kids are growing up with smartphones ridiculously early. And even if they don't get a smartphone at a young age, I feel like the parents are still handing over theirs too. Because we went to like restaurants like what was that restaurant we went to at the mall that closed down?
Max and Irma's.
Yeah, Max and Irma's, right. There was that one mom one time where she had like a 4-year-old like in the high chair at the side of the table, and the child was like screaming at her, so she just said and gave him her iPhone. And I was like, seriously? That's what it takes now? You just don't even... Yeah. Just here, take something to shut up. Like, I don't know. I feel like telling them to shut up doesn't really work. I feel like if they're crying, you take them outside and calm them down. You don't give them a smartphone to give them... But I guess whatever works, you know? I mean, it is what it is. But did you know, by the age of 12, 50% of kids have social media? This what's it called? Research study or whatever was done a few years ago, right? Like 2018. So almost 2 years ago. But think about that. You're not even allowed to be on social media until you're 13. That's the rules. And I know that I actually did this, getting on social media before I was 13, but that wasn't on a smartphone. That was on a computer, which was a lot harder because you guys restricted my internet sites I went to. So I had to be ingenuitive, and I found a program on my computer called Ziggy TV, and I could go to any website on my computer that even if you guys blocked it, I could still go to it. So I went to Facebook and Twitter and all those things before I was 13. But I had to research that myself because nobody taught me about it. I found out myself. I don't know how I found out. I don't remember what I searched to find it. Actually, let me see if it's still a thing. Let's find out if it's... Because I'm not sure if it is still a thing, but I'm really curious, right? So let me search up Ziggy TV. I don't know. We'll see. Because, well, now my computer's going slow. But Ziggy TV was what I used, and I don't think it's still Ziggy TV, but it could be something else. But yeah, I just find that crazy that nowadays it's so easy because you just go onto your smartphone, you download the app, and then you just make a new account, right? Oh, no, it is still a thing. Well, no, now it's a video downloader. So I don't think it's... No, yeah, okay, so now it's for watching, like, YouTube and stuff. But it used to be a full browser. Like, it was... You could literally go on and just watch whatever you wanted to, go to whatever website you wanted to, and you didn't have to worry about anything. Even though you guys had restrictions, it bypassed those restrictions. And I was like 10.
The things you learn as a parent.
Yep.
When your children grow up.
Yeah, exactly. You guys didn't restrict me from anything. So, it is what it is, you know? And I don't... Of course, I don't need to do it anymore because I'm 19. There's no restrictions on my internet. But I couldn't even go to, like, download websites, like Mediafire, like my cloud storage sites. I couldn't even go to that. I couldn't go to YouTube past a certain time. I was like, well, it's 2 a.m. and I'm going to watch me some YouTube. And so I went on, because I remember Dad blocked YouTube for me for a long time. And I literally would go in, he caught me one time. He did catch me. So I had to go and get a different program, which I found another program and use that one instead. And he had no clue. So, but no, I used that to get past websites, but it's so easy now. That's my point. Is that it's so easy to get on social media now that if you give your kid a smartphone, all they have to do is install the app and then make an account for free. All you have to do is just lie about your birth year, which I did. So because
Gets you in trouble sometimes.
Oh, it does. But I made my account when I was 12 for Twitter, right? I had my birth year as 1998. So it would register that I was 13, but I was actually born in 99, of course. So I used Ziggy TV, and not a sponsor, by the way. They're not a sponsor. So I used Ziggy TV, and I signed up on there, on my computer here at home. And I would use that and just chat on there and, like, type on there. Now, I didn't actually use it too much. We're at 40 minutes. Okay, we're...
I'm not looking at
Oh, you're looking at time. So I would use that... And then I would just do it on my computer. So I didn't need a phone to do it, right? But so what do you think about it being super easy now? Because if you think about it, you just hand your kid a smartphone and they can have like 20 Twitter accounts. You can just keep making them over and over again. So
parents don't have a clue as to what the internet can do to your kids. I mean, there's some, I don't know. It's dangerous territory, and to have your kids be able to go on there and just you not monitor it's scary.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say, and this is in defense of having a smartphone at a young age. There are apps you can download as a parent that check their screen time. And iPhones have it natively, you can check their screen time. But Android doesn't, of course, because, they don't have all those features, sadly. But there's also an app lock that you can get on your phone. So you can actually, as a parent, set a passcode on your child's phone and lock the Play Store or the internet or whatever you want to lock. And they have to put in your passcode. They have to put in the code to be able to get into that. And they can't uninstall the app without that passcode as well. So if you turn that on, you can restrict certain apps, you can restrict certain settings, you can do all that. But again, a lot of parents don't. Did you even know there was an app lock you get on your phone? Did you? Yeah, see, a lot of parents I feel like don't know about that because it's kind of a newer thing, locking everything on your child's phone. You can literally lock the calculator if you wanted to, so they can't find out how much something's going to cost or whatever. You can do whatever you want on there. But I feel like it's much easier now than it used to be. And once they get into those apps, there's nothing you can do. Once they make that account, you can't close it down. You have to deactivate the account, and even then, the child has 30 days to get back into the account, or else the account is deleted. But if they can get back onto that internet in the next 30 days, they keep their account. So there's nothing you can do. I feel like once your child makes an account, you just kind of have to maintain and preserve whatever you can. So
I guess I'm thankful as a parent that you kids are old enough to know what you're doing with that kind of stuff now. Mm-hmm. Because it is getting worse out there. And I feel like the kids that are today's generation are like the younger ones. They're not being taught, the danger of everything, and being raised, through the years that you were raised in, you know what about being outside, about stranger danger, about things that can happen to you, and why we protected you and gave you times to be inside and where you were supposed to be, and we were always trying to be, I know you felt like we were being really strict. Tell us where you're going to be, what time you're going to be home. And it wasn't because we didn't trust you. It's that we wanted to know where you were at in case you didn't come home and something bad had happened. We knew where to find you or where to begin to look. But I don't feel like kids do that anymore. And being a social media world now, that's even scarier, because when your child's in a room, you have no idea who they're talking to, what they're going to, what they're watching, any of that. And
right. And see, and I will say this is something I've noticed firsthand recently, is a lot of like people that play Fortnite are kids, right? And that's part of, you can get Fortnite on anything. You can get it on a computer, an Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. You can get it on your phones. You can get it on everything. So there's all these kids, and I since I'm a graphic designer, and I've opened up commissions and stuff, and I'm actually taking purchases, a lot of like younger people have come into my DMs and are like, hey, can I get art? Can I get this? And I've noticed that they're giving away information very easily. And I'm not saying I'm asking information. They're like, hey, I'm using my mom's credit card. Do you want the information? Like, one person asked me if I wanted the credit card information. I was like, no, please don't give me that. I told them, like, don't do that. There was one that just gave me their email just out and open before I even did any commission work. Like, and there's people that are asking for free art and stuff. I feel like I don't know if it's the parents' fault. I don't know if it's the kid's fault. But there's a lack of knowledge when it comes to being safe now. There's no reason someone that's 13 should be coming into my direct messages on Instagram asking for artwork and giving me their credit card info, their mom's credit card info, I should say, and their email and location and stuff. You should not give anyone that information, especially at the age of 13, on Instagram. Even if they are a graphic designer, because I pride myself on being professional and having good customer support and being there for people, but you don't give me that information. I'm not going to use it, yes. And I'm probably the one designer that you could give it to and I won't do anything with it. I'll just delete it. But there are graphic designers and other people out there that will take that information and use it against you. And I think that there's a lack of safety, and I'm not blaming every parent, because I know some parents actually care. I know some parents actually do the monitoring, and you guys did the monitoring too. You even blocked some of the websites I could even go to on my phone. Even up until I was 19 just now, because you guys forgot about it, and I never talked about it because when I'm on the Wi-Fi here, it doesn't have it, so I would always forget. But there's a lack of safety, I feel like, and I don't know if it's because nobody's really teaching the safety, because no teacher ever told us about safety on there, and I feel like the one place you should be taught is by either your parents or at school. Those are the two places you need information, and if your parents aren't teaching you, and they're not restricting anymore because they're just giving you a smartphone to use freely whenever you want. Of course, they can still track you with the iPhones and stuff. And then at school, you're not getting any information about it.
You don't typically get information about it from school because the school districts have got the restrictions on stuff. So it's really, truly the sole responsibility of a parent to teach their child about that safety on the
Yes, it is. But there's also, school is where you learn stuff for the rest of your life. And there's a lack of talking about self-love, care for yourself, depression, bullying, like time. They don't even teach you like time management skills at school. They don't teach you anything about safety online or anything. Well, yes, there are a couple that will teach you, but those are things that we should be learning instead of trying to force statistics down a kid's throat. Because
also the parents have that, base where that's where they need to start teaching their children at a young age. Because by the time they get in school, they had better know about some kind of the dangers of human interaction and, stuff that's out there, especially now. Because, even your sister, for instance, she's 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
When she was 3, she was on computers, so we taught her then. Yeah. Because if you give a child that's 4 years old reins to a smartphone or a tablet or whatever, and there's that much danger they can get into between the time they are 4 till the time they're 6 and then go to school, that parent needs to have that interaction with them, teaching them the dangers, because 3 years, there's a lot of damage that can be done in 3 years before they get to that school and the school tells them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but there's
schools are probably thinking now, we've got textbooks on tablet now, so all the kids should know about the dangers of social media and internet.
Which
now.
That's the one thing they're starting to teach, but they're still not teaching the things that humans need past school, like self-care and like time management and stress relief. And there's things they're not teaching that kids need to know. Because if you give me 6 homework assignments each night, 2 projects due by the end of the week, and then an oral presentation next week, that stresses me out, and nobody's helping me. The teachers don't care. They just say, use your time wisely. That's your fault. Okay, I come to school at 7 a.m., I have to wake up at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning to even get here on time, and then I have to go to bed at 10 just to get my stuff done, but I don't get out of school until 3, and I eat dinner at 5. So I don't have much time to do all this. And that's the one thing about school is we're so focused on and this isn't really part of what I'm trying to talk about in this episode, but I'm just kind of going on a rant now, is we're so focused on statistics and ACT scores and standardized tests that there's a lack of teaching how to be successful after school. Do I know how to, do factoring trinomials? No. What is that? I forgot. Okay, it's been a year and a half. There's certain things that you don't need to know, like how to find a diagonal length of a pool. You don't need to know that. I'm sorry. If you need to know, use a tape measure. It's very fantastic. Tape measures go 100 feet if you get the big ones. So you don't need to do all this. You don't need to know all this information. And yes, I get the basics, but there needs to be teaching for kids growing up, because that's when kids are impressionable, like you said. So if you teach them early as a parent, social media and certain things, but then they go to school for 7 hours a day, there's something that also needs to be taught to them at school. Because if all I'm doing at school is just doing a bunch of homework and projects, I'm not getting taught anything that's going to actually help me succeed in life. There's a difference between being smart on the street and having good test scores. Because being a nerd's only going to get you so far in life. So that's the rant over with. I feel like the school system in the United States is kind of screwed, because we're not really teaching the things we should be teaching. Because, look at me. I got a 21 on my ACT, which wasn't amazing. And I had a 3.0 GPA, 3.07 GPA, which is not amazing. And I got into a good school, but what did I get from high school? I got a piece of paper. I literally got a piece of paper and a fancy cardboard envelope, basically. That's what I got. And it opened the door to college. What does that give me? Yes, it gets me a good job if I play my cards right, but it also gives me $128,000 of debt over the next 10 years, and it gives me another fancy piece of paper. So I'm getting a job, but I'm wasting all my money from the job on college debt. So for the next 10 years, I'm going to be struggling to even survive because college. And it's that's not part of this, right? But I feel like it is kind of part of it, because you growing up, you didn't need a college degree to be successful. But now we need a college degree to be considered successful.
But do you? Because
that's what I'm saying.
Because how many
society says we need it, but
how many? Yeah, and every job that you apply for, they're going to ask you how much college you have. But however, it's I have so many coworkers that have college degrees, and they're not even, they're working with me, and I have no degree. Yeah. So what does that tell you? The thing is, you don't need a degree to be good at what you do.
It's honestly true. There's only so much that 120. Honestly, college is just like you're not rich, but you're well off enough to afford it, and you get better positions in life than those who don't. Yeah. It's honestly pay to win, and it sucks, but
it is. I mean, you get to the top faster than the one that didn't.
Which, yes, you can get to the top if you don't have a college degree. It takes so much longer and so much more work than someone who does have that degree. And that's where I feel like it's unfair, because we're teaching kids that they need this degree, but we're not teaching them what they need to succeed. Because even me going into college, I didn't know enough about time management. I had to learn that on my own, because no one taught me, you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to spend your time wisely. Yes, you guys told me, right? But I didn't experience it in school. Because in high school, they don't punish you for not doing your stuff. You do good on the test, you pass the class. Homework doesn't count. So whenever you go to college, homework does count.
Okay, so see, this is the difference between the schools now versus the schools when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because our homework counted. If we didn't do our homework, that brought our grade down, 1. And 2, we didn't have the knowledge to pass that test. Because a lot of times the quiz would be over the homework the night before. So
yeah, that's the thing.
Should have been that way, because I mean,
like, no, but that's the thing. We did have quizzes and we did have it over the homework. But as long as you paid attention in the lectures, the entire class, you knew what you're doing. You didn't need homework.
But we turned in our homework and it was graded.
Yeah. That's the thing. Ours is graded, but it felt like I did not do homework in high school. I feel like I did maybe 10% of my homework assignments in high school, and I got A's and B's most of my classes, right? So if we're looking at homework and time management, high school didn't teach me anything about that, because I was taught I can just slack off and wait until the last second and I can still get an A on a test. And when I went to college, that was a rude awakening that first few months. I was like, holy, like, I had to do everything. I had to, like, fit a bunch of stuff into my day. And by the end of it, I had, like, multiple, like, all-nighters or, like, all days. Because, like, there were times I would go to, like, the art studio from, like, 9 in the morning up until midnight and work on, like, art projects there. Because art takes so long, right? But when you have 4 other classes with your 2 art projects you have due the next week, you gotta get stuff done. You gotta know your time. But there's not so much of that, and I feel like when it comes to phones, there's not so much of safety. And I don't know if that's just a lack of teaching and a lack of early impression, but I feel like I grew up in a time, yes, where I was taught the safety of the internet, but I also wasn't taught, being good with your time and, actually taking care of stuff and getting it done from school. And there's only so much you guys could have taught me at the age of 4, right? You can't teach me everything about the world at 4. And that's where I'm talking about school needs to come in and do some extra stuff as well. Because they're the ones that deal with us for 13, 16, however many years you'll go to school throughout. You could drop out, whatever. However many years you go to school, they're the ones that teach you 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, like a full-time job. And
you're actually at school with your teachers more than you're at home with the parents.
Yeah. So there's a point where that parental focus kind of shifts from here's what you need to do in life to how did school go? How are we going to get you through it? And I feel like as a parent, you guys were focused on what you learn at school, what are you going to do, what's your homework, get your stuff done, not so much of you need this, this, and this to succeed in life. Because yes, you guys told me you need a degree, you need a job, and that's true. But you guys didn't have the time to teach me all that, with me being at school for 7 hours, you being at work for like 7 to 10 hours each day, both of you guys, like, there's not much time. So growing up is different than it was back then, I feel like. Because you guys focused more on human-to-human interaction, taking care of you guys, like, your needs.
We had the time to do that,
right,
because we weren't focused on, we gotta rush through our homework so we can get on and play games.
Yeah, honestly.
So,
I grew up a lot doing that.
We had to get our homework done and show our parents before we could go outside and play. And that is a big difference, because we worked on our homework in our room or somewhere in the house, whereas we were working on our homework because we had outside to tend to. Yeah. And our parents knew we were going outside. But now you're in your rooms working on homework or internet or whatever, you're in your room, so you don't know for sure if you're working on your homework or not. And that's the biggest difference I see between that now and then, because we knew we had to focus on that, and they knew we were focused on that because we had nothing else to take up our time inside.
So that's why I feel like it's good to give your kids a phone at a certain age. And I want to bring this up. I want to bring up 2 points. That Americans on average spend 6 hours a day on their cell phones. Every single day, on average, 6 hours a day. That's a lot of time on your phone. Considering you're only up for 12 hours, maybe even 16 hours sometimes. I mean, if you're up for 16 hours the normal day, and you're at work 8 of those hours, and the next 6 hours of your life are on your phone, most of your time of your day has been at work and on your phone. Not anything else. And I'm assuming that a lot of that time at work, people are also on their phones sometimes. Not all people, but some people, yes. But with like the amount of time you have after that. But that's a lot of time to be spending on your phone. Considering that a normal work day is, 8 hours, right? But you're spending almost as much time every single day. You're literally a full-time job's worth of time on your phone. That's way too much time.
Yep.
And another one is that Bill Gates, and I saw this on the actual post. This was an actual report. He said that he actually didn't give any of his kids phones until they were 14 as well. So he followed the same kind of trajectory you guys did, where you didn't give us phones till we were 13, 14. So I don't know. I feel like I grew up in the phase that was awkward, right? Because 2000s kids grow up with Fortnite, cell phones, spending time online. 90s kids, 80s kids and early 90s kids spend time outside all the time, hanging out with friends, going places, going to concerts, when they're older, listening to all a bunch of different things, right? But now we have streaming services and the internet and everything, so there's less time going places with people and more time online. And I grew up in the phase in between those two where I was kind of in the best of both worlds, because I went outside, I played with toys, I went with friends, but I also did have a computer. I also did have, the TV that had all the good shows on, and we watched VHSs, and those are a throwback. VHSs, kids nowadays have no clue what those are, and I remember as a kid taking the VHS and pulling the film out, and I would destroy all of our... I remember, what was it? I destroyed one of you guys, I think it was Shrek or something. I destroyed one of your movies, and I just pulled the film out, and Dad was trying to, wind it back up in there, but it didn't work. It was weird. It was nice, because I grew up with both, and I got to see both sides of it, because... Yes, I had to wait until I was 14 for a phone, right? And yes, you guys were strict with me, but it worked out because I also learned you have to be out and active and do stuff, and not everything's online. There's also a life outside of the internet. And that's honestly carried over with me, I think, better than Shelby, because Shelby, that's my sister, by the way. Shelby's, on social media a lot. But I try to keep myself, and I did a whole month last month. You saw that. I did a month away from social media. And now the only time I'm on Snapchat is just to send streaks, which is when you just have a constant daily, image sending streak type thing. And then I go on Instagram for commissions for people that message me. That's pretty much the only social media I go on. So it's honestly good that I did that. So you guys taught me, yes, it's there, but there's a life outside of that, which I'm really grateful for. Because kids nowadays, I feel don't grow up with that. They grow up with that mindset of, here's Fortnite, it's a free game, but you can spend $500 on it if you want to, because you can buy all these... So there's an okay, so Fortnite's weird, right? Because they have outfits, which are character, cosmetics. It's a skin that you can get for your character, so it changes the outfit. And those are they're $10 a piece. You have to spend $10 to get a skin, to get the proper currency to get it. So... Kids will go on to a free game. They're it's free, but then they end up spending $200 on it out of their parents' bank account because they want those cosmetics. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So kids, and even the commission I just did yesterday, he said he was using his mom's card, his credit card, or her credit card, sorry, for the commission. That's a $60 commission he just charged to his mom. I wasn't taught to waste my parents' money just because I wanted something. I didn't buy Fortnite skins. I didn't buy art from people. Of course, I'm an artist. I don't need to buy art. I make my own. But I didn't grow up with that mindset, And I don't think it's the majority. I think there are some people that still parent like you, which I'm glad, because that's not something I like, is that kids are doing this. But I don't know. We had a very long conversation now. It's been an hour. So it was a good way to see like how you grew up versus how I grew up. It was pretty similar, besides you going on vacations to the mountains, which I couldn't do, right? And plus me having a smartphone, because time's different.
And then there was that times when we would go to Minnesota and stay a couple of weeks. But I did take you to Minnesota a lot.
Yeah. And Illinois. You did take me to Illinois a couple times. Florida was nice.
I went to Florida. We've been to Branson.
Yep. We've never been to the Ozarks, though, have we?
Yes.
We have?
Yes.
What the? I don't remember
Branson
that.
Is.
Well, yeah, but I mean the lake of the Ozarks. Like,
Lake
going
of the
to the lakes.
We've never taken you to the Lake of the Ozarks?
I don't think so. I don't think you've ever taken me onto the lake or whatever, so... I don't know. I don't think I've ever been there, so you should probably take me to the Ozarks so I can go on the lake.
Yeah.
Because I've never been on the lake. So, yeah.
No.
You... What?
Did you go to Wes's wedding?
No. No, I didn't.
I was in Ozark, Missouri.
I didn't go to that,
No,
so...
you were in school.
Yep.
Boy,
I was in college, so I didn't...
Boy, you missed some stuff, man.
Yeah, I have, and I want to go to the Ozarks.
We should go to the Lake of the Ozarks this week.
This week?
Yeah, man.
That's so far away.
No, it's not.
It's like 2 hours.
So? That's how far the mountains were.
Oh my god.
2 hours.
All right, then. So, okay, but...
You go and come back in the same day.
With that all out of the way, right? So, I found out how you grew up, right? And how you made your own makeshift scooters, which I still find crazy. You guys took rollerblades and put them on the...
Roller.
So you're talking about the four-wheel ones, or you're talking about the roller
wheels.
blades?
No, the 4 wheels. You know,
yeah,
like
but,
your skateboard wheels?
But yeah, no, but roller blades are different than roller skates, because roller skates are the ones with the 4 wheels.
Right.
Roller blades are the one that's in a line.
Right.
So you had the 4-wheel ones?
Yes.
God.
Roller skates.
Okay.
And we're talking the older roller skates, not the ones with the fancy plastic, big rubber wheels. We're talking
about the plastic garbage ones, or?
No, we're talking about the metal ones.
They had metal wheels?
Metal wheels, yes.
Back when everything was made of metal?
Yes.
Now it's all made of plastic.
Yeah, metal wheels.
Because nowadays they're just colored random, like, plastic colors, like orange wheels or like, purple wheels. Like,
and they're fancy, but no, these were metal wheels.
That's crazy to me. I can't believe... Were there any other inventions you guys made? Any other cheap alternatives?
I don't think so. I don't remember any.
No?
Not that I can remember off the top of my head.
I just think that my biggest point from today that I can think of is how I told you how I got Ziggy TV. If I was 10 and I did that, kids nowadays can do it much easier, because kids nowadays are smarter because they grew up with those devices their entire life. So anyone who's a parent, because there are a couple listeners I know that are parents, just be safe with your kids and make sure you keep track of it, because if you don't keep track of your kids on their devices, they can do something like what I did and find out how to get into any website they want to. Literally any website I wanted to. Even if you guys had restrictions, I could get into anything. I could download anything. I could get on anything. That's not safe.
It's not right now. This day and age, it's not a what do you want to call it? A small community. It's the world out there.
Yeah.
And so you're not just keeping your kids safe with the surrounding people, but you have to now keep them safe from the world. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I think that's probably my biggest concern right now. Because I feel like the internet's not a safe place, and if you're not in there, like, and smart, you're going to get taken advantage of.
Yep.
And I don't like talking only about the internet, but it's a huge issue.
Kids don't understand that. I mean, the kids now, when they're handed their phone, it's not a new world to them anymore, and so they feel comfortable and at ease with it, and they're not going to pay attention anymore.
See, me growing up, when I played Club Penguin, that was what I loved doing that was the only thing I did on the internet. I would go on Club Penguin. I didn't watch YouTube without your guys' permission. Yeah, I would watch a couple with you guys around, but I wouldn't watch YouTube. I wouldn't, go on any streaming services they have now. I didn't have any of that. I went on Club Penguin. And I talked to people my age, kids my age, on there, and that was a community. But Fortnite's not a community. Kids who play Fortnite go into public servers with random people, and if you search up Fortnite funny moments or something, there's all these older people making fun of young kids because they're playing Fortnite. It's not a safe place. And actually, I saw one video where a kid on Fortnite actually gave his social security number to someone online. They stopped him halfway through, but he was like 489, and he actually gave it away. So he was going to give his social security number to some random 24-year-old. Kids are too young. And I don't want that to happen.
Right.
So I'm glad I grew up the way I did. And I'm glad I grew up similar to you in how I was told to stay outside. I'm glad you guys taught me that way instead of trying to just shove a phone down my throat. Because even when I was in middle school, you guys didn't give me a phone. You could have easily gotten me a phone in middle school.
We're still trying to teach you to go outside.
Hey, I go outside plenty, okay? I go outside plenty. I'm the one that's always active outside. I walk like 8 miles a day on a good day. Well, not every day now. But once I actually start, going out again. But I don't like going out in the summer when it's like hot, trying to like run around. Ugh. But no, summer nights and stuff, going on walks, that's fun. But yeah, I think that actually wraps up the episode. I mean, it was a pretty long conversation about growing up in the 70s and then growing up now. It's very strange how similar it is. I mean, because not similar, I'll say, because in the last 12 years, last 20 years, whatever, last 12, 15, it's become more technology based.
Flashing red, danger, danger, danger.
Really? So it's more of a here's a cell phone so you can shut up and be quiet, and here's this and that. Here's the internet so you can just watch whatever. Here's Netflix. You can binge watch 100,000 shows if you want. You don't have to do your homework now because we're not going to pay I don't know. I feel like everything's so technology based now.
We can't use the old technique. Use your indoor voice versus your outdoor voice because they don't have outdoor voices. They do, but they don't know to use them outdoors.
My voice gets loud when I'm trying to. I have a big outdoor voice, so.
Yes, I know.
What do you mean you know? Okay, then. So we're gonna end off.
Your mother.
Oh my God, we're gonna end off the episode here. Thank you guys for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, please give it a like because we need some likes. So and
like it.
And if you're listening on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, Google, whatever you listen to it, you can listen wherever you hear your podcasts. Share it with a friend. Get some support out there because I know some of you guys are definitely interested in this. Especially because all of us grew up at one point in time or are growing up. So this is a topic that everyone can listen to regardless of age and hear and kind of compare because I didn't really talk as much about mine, but that's because mine's pretty common. Everyone knows about, growing up nowadays. But it was good to hear about all your stuff. There's actually some things I didn't even know about, like the drug addict and the diabetes, but somehow the drug addict survived. It's just crazy. So without further ado, I guess we'll say bye now. So,
bye. Take care.
Bye.